As War Horde has dominated the meta for months, is there a chance that the freebooting pirates can catch the WAAAGH's attention? Today we have Mark Perry coming in with his thoughts as well as mine, and we can talk about this freebooted detachment. I gave it a little bit of time so we can actually get some games under our belts instead of just getting off the top of our heads hot takes. So I would say that I enjoyed it a little more than I initially expected the day I woke up and looked at those rules. And after talking to Mark Perry, I also liked his thoughts as well. So, Mark, how you doing? Thank you for joining us.
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to loot some objectives, loot your brains, maybe get my brain looted, and kind of just sustain going forward.
And also check out this guy's wall. If you're not looking, I wanted to show off his new setup that he got put up for us. I don't think he showed this off anywhere else. Got his trophy case. He's got all his objective markers on the wall, and then he has the Archimedes mountain right there, Mount Rushmore of Mork, Orc, and Mork. So awesome setup. I think that looks sick.
Thank you.
Wanted to show it off. Yeah, so we'll talk about it. We're gonna first just break down the detachment, like you guys, I'm sure you've already heard of, but give our thoughts on it. Then we'll go into a little presentation where Mark Perry has one of his lists that he picked out. And then I'm gonna do my own video on my own for more variety, kind of unpacked of what games I play, and still give thoughts on it though. So I'm pretty pumped. And let's get talking about the Freebooter Crew. So what I would say I did like about this is at least they have more than two keywords. They have infantry, mounted, and walker, right? So that's cool. The detachment rule is here be loot. At the start of the battle round, select one objective marker. Until the start of the next battle round, that objective marker is your looted objective. It counts for walkers, infantry, and mounted. You get sustained if either of the following is true. The model's unit is within range of your looted objective, or that attacking target a unit within range of your looted objective. So whether you're standing on it or your enemy is, you get it if you're standing on the looted objective. So Mark Perry, what do you think about it? First thoughts.
I think honestly, the detachment is everyone can sit there and say the battle round. I agree with that. It's complicated for at the battle round, and it's not as good as probably the battle or start of turn. Now, I don't think it's game ending. I don't think it is deal breaker for this thing. I think there's some advantages of it. Obviously, one is Overwatch potentials. Like if your opponent goes first, you call your home objective, you have something powerful shooting on it, and if they run up in front of your army, you just Overwatch them with sustained. That's awesome. Because like orcs, like looters, flash hits, we get a bunch of shots. Overwatch is good. Flash hits already have sustained, but I'm thinking like I guess other shooting orc units. Tank busters and looters to be the main thing. And characters can join them, so you can take advantage of that. Having sustained an Overwatch is massive. So I don't know. Like I see it as being complicated, but I'm okay with it. I'm gonna make it work, and I already see lots of plays and lines where it doesn't really change too much.
I'm of two thoughts. One thing is, after playing it, I did appreciate it a little bit more because it did have a fun little combined arms aspect to it once you did get things to go your way. Two, there is obvious issues with it being in the top of the battle round for most people. Going second made it much harder for the first two battle rounds, I would say. Yeah. But that being said, based off how we're building out the list and how it's going, there's always the thought that the first two battle rounds are extremely important. The game could be decided there. So you saying your detachment rule isn't fully in play might be a factor. But the other point of it is that normally where orcs are running out of steam and momentum and having no options the rest of the battle rounds, now with these objective markers, I found that you could actually make some later turn plays that were a little bit more interesting because then it became a little more obvious where the objectives were going. If you were to go to turn 3, 4, like, okay, I know where we're hanging out here. There's only so many things left on the field. And anyways, I plan to use my wall turn 2 anyways, right? Like we were talking about before stream. So a lot of the time your turn 2 wall, and then based off of your army's favorite key units, when we talk about how you build these lists, a lot of the time you'll know where you're going to put your either in the middle or on your enemy's natural, right? You're either going to go push them or you're going to push the middle. So as much as it seems like very hard to figure out, it's some of these more than others are it can be played around in an interesting manner. Still very restrictive, which was downside of that. But let's talk about the enhancements, which normally I actually really like enhancements in armies, like that they're cool. Not that I want to use like 4, but in this one I almost don't want to use any of them, to be honest. But let's talk about that a little bit. So we have the captain, war boss model only, once per battle at the start of any phase. Select one orc unit that's battle shock within 12, and then he suffers D3, and then he's no longer battle shocked. Like, okay, what am I using on that? 20 boys, I guess. You know? Are you missing anything there that you think?
Not really. Like the thing that's awkward with it is it's at the start of any phase. So like if you're trying to hold an objective, you're going to miss the trigger for this to like hold an objective. I think that's the biggest sad part about this. It will save your strat. Like, dude, if you fail battle shock, you've already missed the timing for this enhancement, and that kind of sucks. Or movement phase, I can get it back, but I missed my 5 points for it at that turn.
Yeah, pretty bad enhancement for sure. The one that most people found interesting, Git-spotter squig. You get ignore cover on ranged weapons. One orc model only. Mark Perry pointed out. What's cool about that, like you said, a trike maybe odd unit, so it's not restricted to just infantry. I did like that take when you had it. That being said, it costs more here than in Dreadmob, right? Dreadmob, it's 10 points, so it's an auto take. Here it's 20, and it's kind of like, okay, that's a little annoying.
It's junky.
So the real 2 contenders here, other than the fun trike pick we just said, was also the Ludas that we hear about, and then the tank busters, right? So you can go ahead on the Ludas, and then I'll go on the tank busters.
So obviously the Ludas are really strong here because like Ludas was sustained. We know what that kind of looks like from times when Freebooters had it or Dreadmob, or not Freebooters, sorry, more DACA had it. So like obviously having ignore cover on those AP1 strength 8 is like a really important profile. The issue I have with it is you put this on any character that wants to join the Ludas, shock attack gun, or big mech, and that is a 100-point character now. Or a 90-point character, 105 or 90 points, and that makes that Luda brick also like 200 points, give or take. And I really hate to commit that into a big unit of Ludas. But like the custom Mega Blasters in this army can go insane with ignore cover. So I can see potential. I think the trike is the best option. That's what I'm playing with it because that's a unit that does everything. Pikes melee, they shoot, they move. Ludas have a hard time moving without assault and getting in good spots. So it could be good. In teams, this has more use because if you can pick a layout and you can practically have a good Luda staging position, this enhancement's a lot stronger. But if you're playing in singles where layouts change, there's multiple layouts, and you're just going to be kind of unknown, it's probably not as good.
Are you opposed to bringing it on tank busters?
No, it's good obviously in tank busters. I don't know if you want to take tank busters in this detachment right off the bat and with a character and make the unit almost like if 250 pushing 300-point unit.
Yeah, it becomes crazy expensive. That's how I felt with this enhancement. I didn't really generally take it. What I would say is the good thing is if I did feel like taking it on tank busters, in this detachment, getting sustains feels great for tank busters. I normally played it in Dreadmob. It's amazing when you actually get your shock attack guns involved and he's getting sustained. You're getting all the other buffs. It works a little bit more independently, and you can actually have a useful shooting looted objective target, in my opinion. So as much as I'm generally not the kind of guy to bring one unit of something, I did enjoy at least having one, tank buster unit, but felt interesting, and that I really did enjoy on tank busters, but I didn't use this enhancement, to be honest, because like you said, it becomes very expensive. As for Ludas, so also people aren't understanding, if you played them in Dreadmob, for example, is when I used Overwatch with my Dreadmob list, you could also choose lethal, So your shock attack gun had more variety of units it could get off on, and your tank busters could, your Ludas could also. So it wasn't just that you had sustain, it's that you sustain and lethal, and the unit that you busted them out, when you brought them out, you could use big shells for bigger gets. So then you can have a pseudo anti-tank unit as well. So now it's you don't have so many restrictions on making the Ludas work. In my opinion, the Ludas have way too many restrictions to function. And like you said, then it becomes an expensive unit. So I actually think Ludas are a trap in this detachment most of the time, not always. I don't think I would recommend them to people that are already trying to make this work that's already harder to work with. Like you said, they're big unit too. So as much as I felt like this enhancement was getting a lot of talk, a lot of people were looking at it. And oddly enough, the bikers with the trike might be the most interesting, right? We can talk about that more in a little bit because I'm totally for that kind of funny shenanigan, to be honest.
There's one more unit composition that to be considered is we talked about some of the more DACA detachments where like you can take free mech guns and join a character to them.
Mm-hmm.
This could be on a big mech shock attack gun or a regular big mech or even a regular baby mech and join the mech guns and give them ignore cover. This makes the custom mega cannons with their AP1 actually like really relevant. Yeah. Because they get the army-wide sustain. There's something different in the wording for this detachment versus like all the other ones is they call out specifically get your buffs and more DACA and tactical is it calls out model to model basis for your buffs. But this one just calls out the keyword infantry. So as soon as you have a
model, no?
Join, it is not each time a model makes an attack. What is it? Is it differently? Oh, is it not? No, it just says this model's units. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
Model in this each time a model in an orc infantry. Oh
yeah.
It says the unit
model, right? It checks for the infantry keyword.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So it is differently worded than all the rest of them. So like mech guns could get the sustain because it's checks a model and then it checks the type of unit versus it just calls out specifically the models. This model gets this said buff.
Yeah, if it has this keyword.
Right. And it has that keyword because the character joins the mech guns. And the mech gun's going to go for walls. Cute. Maybe relevant. Maybe.
If you can get it. I mean, at least those guns have ranges, mech guns. It'd be hard to make it work because now you're like, my little 3-inch moving mech gun. But that is something to call out. So that's a good one too.
Yep. And they're a good overwatcher because at that point they have sustain because they're camping somewhere.
And they reroll ones if it's not a vehicle. So that's cool too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lead the way. What is
so then we go to the Bionic workshop. So it's Big Mech or Painboy model only. At the start of the battle, roll a D3, compare the results to the list below, and you have one of the abilities. So you either get +2 to move, +1 strength, or improve weapon skill characteristic by 1. So yeah, I was a little bummed. I randomly was like, oh, War Boss, duh. But yeah, you can't put a War Boss in here, which is what makes this far less appealing to me. It's, I think, a decent cost of like 15 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't too many units I was too interested in taking this. There's, of course, a lot of people online taking like the boys and like a Painboy or a Big Mech, right? And then taking Gaz and running it up the field. But it just seemed like a ton of points for like a not consistent buff. So what'd you feel about it?
It's cool. It's a little, I feel like, out of place on those models in particular, but they typically join. There's one outliner that sticks out to me that's the best, and that is the Burner Boys. Big Man or Painboy joining 10 Burners. Burner Boys greatly benefit from all this extra strength because they're AP2 base and their weapon skill 4. So like the AP2 is a great number, but they didn't have enough attacks. On their weapon skill their weapon skill and their strength was a little. Our weapon skill and strength, is their weaknesses.
Yeah, it is.
So hitting on freeze.
They hit on 4s normally, and their strength 4 normally. Just so people know.
And Flamers having extra 2-inch movement. Like this would be relevant on like 10 Burner Boys or a Painboy. Definitely with this attachment, be able to put that in the wall and keep it up where it's like, I got 5 minimum, 5 minimum pain. Maybe 2, a bunch of trash, and like a scary Overwatcher. So definitely
it's definitely a fun option. It just gets to the point of a lot of points for me because I'm always one of the kind of say Painboys cost a lot personally.
Yes.
But I think that's totally something you can call out if you want to use it. What'd you say?
Definitely for a free wound character.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy for a 3 wound character, and then the unit he's with isn't really giving you that much feel no pain point value. but I think it's something that can be called out, right? If you want to try it, it can, or you could try. Yeah, Painboy goes to Flamers. I was thinking that too, but it's become expensive. Nonetheless, this attachment does work at smaller games, so maybe you do fix for that. Other than that, I don't really like this for too many other setups. There's the knobs, but then if you don't get the one you want, then the knobs are hitting on 4, right? So it's like I don't want to really put these guys with knobs either. So it really comes down to like 20 boys is the most interesting thing to me for this enhancement. So maybe if you don't take, even if you don't take Gazes and you take another 20 man near him, or yeah, because even like a Beast Snagga boy unit wouldn't really appreciate this because they don't even have power claws.
Yeah, I don't know if the Beast Snagga boy's pain boss has pain boy keyword though.
No, they don't either. I don't think he does either. So yeah, I don't see the too much value just other than 20 boys there. So again, these enhancements aren't too interesting in my opinion. Then we got Razgit's magik. Yeah, it's a magic. It's kind of funny way to put it. Here again, you get to redeploy 3 orc infantry units. So that's the thing that we both mentioned out is it wasn't too appealing because it's infantry restricted. And it's a good amount of points. So I did like it for shenanigans on moving Mandos around. And also if I wanted to threaten like a Stormboy unit for an auto 6 advance, there were some interesting ways to do that, but not really that many interesting, redeploys, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's also like, some of the builds I'm coming down to, I just don't have the character to even put this on because like I'm kind of opposite on like a lot of what orc people do. And I used to be an all orc character all the time, but like I've lessened my characters that I have in my army. So like having a lot of these enhancements, none of them are like, hey, Scream, I gotta take this.
Yeah.
If you don't got it, you don't have to take any of these enhancements. This one's the best one because like commandos are great. Redeploying commandos, awesome. But man, a lot of times those commandos are just happy being there because they're going to progress the board state by existing.
Yeah, I think the only thing I really liked is putting them where you just deny other people's scouting or infiltrators, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to hide these guys now. But you're paying for that, and it is what it is. We'll just say that it's cool, not as cool as I wished it was, right? So then we'll move to the enhancements. I mean the stratagems. And like I know chat's saying, there are a bunch of combos. Don't worry, we're gonna have, when I do my video on all the extensive combos we can put up, I'll elaborate and unpack those. But as for like the most competitive, interesting ones, there aren't that, there wasn't that many for the Bionic. Because people in chat are like, I'm glad you guys are pumped on what you can throw it on, but it's not that dynamic, I guess, or valuable. But yeah, anyway, so we'll go to the stratagems now. We'll start with the first one, bash and grab, because I love how these are named, right? Bash and grab. The fight phase, 1 orc unit from your army that has been selected to fight. If you fight and you're on the looted objective, you can re-roll the entire wound roll. One of my favorite stratagems to get off on any orc unit, to be honest. But you can go first with this.
I mean, the reroll wounds is crazy. Like I've had a lot of success with more DACA because of the reroll wounds helps out a lot, right? The problem with this one is the enemy unit has to be on the objective. I wish it has that clause on like both either you or your opponent, like how the attachment rule works, because they're gonna try it in the early game to not be on objective with important units. But when you get to the end game, like end games, you're gonna do things and go into people's hands and play into their weird abilities. Because you have to, because you're playing the game, you got to get points. At the end of the day, like your options are limited in a in-game scenario, so it's crazy good strategy for the end game. Early game, if you want to kind of kill something with a little bit, like extra effort, like your opponent's going to put stuff on the objective. The problem is it's not going to be the eluded objective in the early game. What is nice though about it is actually a great defender thing where like if your opponent has other fastings and they start attacking like your home objective. It's hard to attack into your orc's home objective period, but sometimes like people find a way into it. And this makes like Gretchen defending your home objective with like that run herder and the random trash units a whole lot more effective. So it's like useful that in the early game. Otherwise, it's strong in the late game.
Yeah, like turn 3 and 4. I think
Yeah.
it becomes more relevant.
Yep.
Really cool combos you can get off. I'd love to
Yeah.
get Snagas off on this. Be Snagga boys if they're within a Gaz or a Makari aura, and then you're fishing lethals, and then you're also rerolling the whole wound roll. That'd be sick. Breaker boys would be sick. Squig hog boys. So there are a bunch of different units that if you can get them to reroll wounds, they're amazing. Boys in general.
There is one more thing with this, and this is kind of like building. I guess let y'all see some of my lines into like some of the game plans that I'm playing with this list. Is I am looking at this also being really good for Zagrad's unit. Turn 2, turn 3. I'm going. A lot of times I end up with Zagrad just on my opponent's objective because like you can't screen them out perfectly. Orc body is going to beat up screens, right? I'm going to make a hole in the first or second turn for Zagrad to go in. And I'm going to start looting people's home objectives turn 2. And I'm going to sit there and here comes Zod going 18 inches preview automatically. And this is really strong at like turn 2 Zagrad plays on your opponent's home objective. Because they're like, okay, cool. Well, if I sticky it, I'm going to go unsticky it. If you put a bunch of OC on it, I'm going to go beat it up now. Zagrad loves the reroll wounds, and then the Gretchen do too, because like they're winning most things on, 5s, minimum 4s, in a lot of infantry cases in the wall. And turn 2, I think on the wall.
It's good in any of those cases where you're missling units out to push the enemies more natural, like when we're talking about those boy units with bosses or a trike with bikes. It's not even always that you're killing the enemy's most dynamic unit. It could be that you're just killing some somewhat tough screen skirmish units very reliably, or far more reliably than your normally kind of trashy unit would, right? The issue is our normal trashy units have a good amount of punches, but not good strength at 4 or whatever with your bikers, with your storm boys. And if you can get this off on that push where some of your units are bigger and getting those big units out on your wall turn, maybe you could pull it off. So I don't think it's useless. I just think it becomes far more useful in the 3rd battle round or 4th, more likely that you're going to use it, because you might not have the CP either depending turn 2. So it's a good strat though. I mean, that's probably one of the most interesting ones, probably like number 3. Then we'll go into deck and fraggers. Your shooting phase. 1 orc army, the unit is in shot until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit targets an infantry unit with blast range weapons, that weapon has the blast ability. So you actually like this one. You had a bunch of funny units that you were pulling it off, and we were talking about it. So you can go first because it was you like this one a lot.
Yeah, this one's like probably like the craziest like potential, because none of our units are designed with this rule in mind. None of the orc guns are designed with the idea of just turning the blast randomly. Now, it's not relevant all the times, but it makes. I'm going to start with like the most grounded things. You'll see 10-man squads, commonly armies. They come bases 10 mans, or they're power units that are 10 mans. Okay, if Zagrad is the easiest one because he has 20 Gretchen. This is a bunch of models. You get 69 shots into a 10-man squad with Zagrad. And with sustained hits up, because Zod's unit's huge, they can easily string to the looted objective in a lot of places. Or, like I said, where you're running towards your opponent's home objective, you're getting blast for 66 shots. Crazy. Or like it turns like shoot-a-boy or slug-a-boys into like shoot-a-boys. We're like, oh my gosh, you're in pistol range. There's a 10-man trash unit of guardsmen, elves, other orcs, random other stuff. You also only turn, one-shot pistols into free-shot pistols. And again, with the army rule is like +1 hit because it sustains. In a lot of weird scenarios that you can get into. The potential here mathematically, like the Discords have already gone crazy about it. I'm not going to drown out too much, but like loot has obviously been a permit.
You can get lost now the orc fun math of dice, right?
Right. I'm not going to get in the squig off math because that thing's crazy. I think the funniest thing I've found is a 8-man squad of squig hog boys gets 42 shots into any 10-man squad in the game. Because squig hog boys have 2 guns. They have a saddle kit and they have the spear. They're over here throwing that spear at rapid fire like it's hooked up to a yo-yo.
No, it works. I mean, it's 2 damage.
It is. That's 18 good. Shots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's practically like 9 hits if you have the sustains, because that unit's huge. Touch your looted objective. shoots a Marine squad, 10-man squad of Marines, like that's 9 hits, turns into 6 wounds, turns in like 3 dead Marines out in the open.
Yeah, and actually has assault. Like we like to talk about the bikers. Another good one for the blast. The bikers would enjoy a great blast profile off of that too.
Yep.
If they had a trike connected to them, true, it could be pretty crazy. So there are fun little dynamic stuff. I think people want to like flash gets in this detachment. So I guess if you could get out like a 10-man unit off on this, maybe it could be interesting too.
It's
very
good
fun.
there. It
very
is good
fun.
there.
Very situational. Another situational one is rolling the loot heap. Shooting phase, when flash get unit at range, it gets anti-vehicle 4+ ability. This one disappointed me probably the most. I think out of most things in the whole detachment being unveiled. It's like they're baiting you into trying to use flash kits to do something that they're not really buffed to do in any other way. They already have sustain. They're not getting a +1 to hit. They don't have a count as heavy, right? If they threw that in there, count as heavy, so they could be +1 to hit. Then also this, maybe it could be cool, like count as stationary. Excuse me.
Right.
But it's like I'm never going to use this really into a vehicle unless it's like one of those new land speeders from a Space Marine unit. If you have an abundance of CP or something, and it's not good for monsters. Obviously, it doesn't work against monsters. Could be far more interesting if it was like demons or Tyrannid kind of monsters that it could be useful. So I didn't really appreciate that it was only vehicles 4+, and flash kits already have strength 6 weapons. So you're really only getting +1 to wound against a lot of stuff that's below T12, obviously.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this one?
Exact same feels like if there's one extra buff there, or if it was just a different ability for the flash kits, I think it's really too situational for that CP for a unit that has a harder time getting around, because like they gotta have a truck to operate to get line of sight. They have to have a transport of some type. They don't have assault, so like flash kits are really good, but like they're not using this strat to hunt anything. Like the best strat, like you said, there's like some niche scenarios where like you're shooting something that is prone to, again, in the late part of the game, right? Because like you got to kill the 6 wound vehicle. This would you use this with the flash kits, but like this detachment really doesn't benefit flash kits too much.
No.
For being the freebooter strat.
Someone told me, I forgot who. Shout out to the Discord. In my Discord was, I think it was Tom Godfrey or something, or Brandon. Sure, but they were like, this is like the 4th best detachment for flash kits. Not even like the second. It's really like the 4th. So not that I'm trying to poo-poo on anybody's parade, but I don't think flash kits go in this. This stratagem is kind of bait, and I don't even favor them that much in this detachment, to be honest, for the reasons you just mentioned. Other than the fact that they're a good data sheet for points, right? That's really all it is for flash kits.
Yep.
There to get sustained. But then we go to grab. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, dude, like that ain't much to it.
Yeah, don't use it, guys. Don't waste your CP on it. You'll need it for other stuff.
Yeah, better things to do.
Yeah, grab Ash. Orc unit, excluding Zod's unit or Gretchen. Until the start of your next command phase, the wall is active and you get all your other abilities. So if your unit is within range of the looted objective, you can declare a wall. So obviously if Gaz is towing an objective, boom, you call a wall right there. This plus one other strat we're going to talk about are the 2 reasons why I could not turn away from this detachment initially. I was like, I got to just give it a try. So what do you think about this stratagem?
This stratagem is crazy because it's 1 CP. I've been using the more DACA one for 2 CP. This one's 1 CP, and like that's really limited to how many strats I get to use. This one requires setup, but like the setup's kind of natural. Like you kind of like know, you can call your home objective turn 1. That's gonna be your standard loot objective. And like orc units are big enough, long enough, in a lot of scenarios where they can touch a home objective, still be on the front line. So they can totally just use the strat in combination with the one coming up to really get that momentum swing. Another thing is like, it's just when you call the battle rounds and you go first, you talk about commandos going in straight in the wall, because maybe if you go first, you just don't call your home objective, you call a unit of commandos. I always make the argument, don't start commandos on an objective, because like when you trigger opponent's storm hostile objective, overwhelming force, turn 1 cards. Do not want to do that. But now it may change. I may start up with 1 unit of commandos randomly on an objective to get this off turn 1 because
Well, you can redeploy.
And you get the redeploy. That's true.
That's
but
really
you don't
what I
know
was
who's going
thinking.
first.
You get the redeploy, so really you can choose and use it as a leapfrogging type of thing.
Yeah.
So in the video, when I break down the video that I do, the long ones, I'll show people, kind of try to demonstrate what I mean by that more, and we'll talk about it more for anybody that's wondering. But I do think that there's a very leapfroggish type of thing that we're using for this for, and even though it seems restrictive and kind of annoying at first, the more you kind of try it, it does have some kind of fun twist to it. As for other units, right, like you were saying, you can string back a unit of bikers, you can string back some squigs, you can string back boys, like you were telling me earlier. You can string back a bunch of different units to your home objective and then bounce off to. So that's why it could be honest, pretty interesting, especially when we move on to the next stratagem, which still goes with that one, is boarding rush. So your movement phase, 1 orc unit from your army that's not been selected to move this phase. Happy that it's any orc unit, right? So it's not just infantry or whatever. Very happy it's very not exclusive. You auto advance 6, bam. Love that, dude.
Huge.
Love it for just even staging up via transport. Sometimes you just got to close a big long gap on certain map. Oh yes, I can actually get where I want to be for the go turn. But how are you feeling about this stratagem?
This is a strat I'm probably going to be using 4 or 5 times in a game.
Yep.
It is so strong. It's funny because at the beginning of the edition, they gave Auto 6 Advance to a bunch of stuff. And then as we get Godexes, they're like, okay, this ability is really strong. Let's start removing it from the game.
Yeah, World Eaters lived off it, right?
Right. And here it is being reintroduced to another melee army. So, like, this strat is game breaking in a lot of regards because it's consistency, it's guaranteed, and this is a strategy game. This is a how you deploy your army and where you put your models is everything, and this always guarantees where you're going to put your models.
Yeah.
Gaz's unit, I spend more random CP rerolls, not off of charge rolls. It's actually off of like Gaz advanced rolls in the early game to get them staged. Like if I roll that 1 and 2, I'm like, man, I gotta get that numbers up, right? Those are rookie numbers. I can't be having those. And this is just going to be auto spent in a lot of places for getting those units in that important stage. Like you put Gaz in a battle wagon, his 6 mega knobs and Makari, auto 14 out of that battle wagon. At turn 2 when you call the wall. That is hard to deal with, right? If you have already got the momentum going, you got the board control, like Gas is going where he wants to go. Guaranteed. Or another unit of Mega Knobs, the bikes, the Squig Hog boys. All these faster units just have that much more power and consistency. Yep. There's also other lines that this opens up more. I could preach on Zodgrad for days. Obviously, this is crazy strong. Like every time I roll a 6 with Zod on a advance roll, I look at my opponent and they're like, "That's not good." I'm like,
"Yeah,
oh buddy."
Yeah.
Regardless of that, this opens up some really strong rapid ingress plays for orcs too, because this means that Storm Boys can rapid ingress like 22, 23 inches away from the opponent, come down and auto 6 advance. Or the bikes will have, you can rapid ingress, trikes, probably hopefully be the wall turn. Not if you can rapid ingress sometimes on objectives. Definitely if you're doing the orc thing, you're pushing your opponent back and you have the board control. And then also the bikes can, go auto 6 or without the war track. This is a bike swap without the war track. Because war track just auto gives you the 6. That's another 65-point unit that's really strong with this. Because that means that they have a guaranteed charge at 21 inches.
Yeah.
Away.
Well, so you and they coming from ingress if you can get it off. And funny other ones, I mean, if you can somehow get them a wall, would be a Death Dread, obviously.
Yep.
Or funny enough, even like little Maz hiding up somewhere and just coming down the field off the corner, some type of something that big. Just giving them auto advance 6 means all your rapid ingress targets can be safer and more dynamic when they come in and be more reliable.
What are your favorite units? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And like you were saying, just the base understanding of I have a set 6 advance on all my normal orc movements. We talk about winning the orcs games when we're talking about Mark Perry or Brandon or Tom, all these different people that we talk about, it has to do with where you can make your units end up to force the enemy's hand sometimes as well. If I could just stand in firing lanes, if I can just get in the way of heroic interventions, if I can just get on certain objectives, all these just built-in movement assures that you can interrupt the enemy's game plan sometimes as well. So most people are thinking of it only to get charges off. Well, just being super fast. Maybe I could just take away the place you want a deep strike in with one of my trashy units. I'm like, you know what? Actually, that one Mando unit, I'm gonna auto advance, go 12, and I'm just gonna push out your deep strike. And now that whole pocket, you have nothing.
Yep.
That's just an option you have now. Not
Yep.
saying it's the most, oh wow, I can take home, all the trophies with this, but it does impact games to just say I can end up places that you don't want me to. And people hate that. They really do. And to make you be able to do it with orcs, where you're like, this is kind of fast, this is kind of fast, this is kind of fast. Any of these things are going to move 6 and get in your face and be 2 OC. It's like, oh, that's kind of getting annoying. And then we go to the last one. Unless you wanted to say, you were interrupted me, but sorry, you were trying not to interrupt me. But what were you saying?
You know how you like Defcopters a lot.
Yeah, Devcopters are cool. Mm-hmm.
They have deep strike, and this is a great stratagem for their melee.
Yeah.
Like they can deep strike, go 18 inches, and like it's like another Stormboy unit, but they hit way harder than Stormboys with all those attacks.
They got a bunch of attacks, and they're way tougher, right? They actually don't fall down and die. So
and they can deep strike on your looted objective in a weird spot because they have deep strike. The bikes can't deep strike on objectives because they're coming off the board edge. This unit could deep strike on the looted objective and then go 18.
And we're talking about in this late game, right? We're saying just that this is where normally orcs fall off. They can't do anything when the wall's over late game. This is like a turn 3 move. All of a sudden, these units we just mentioned get a wall, get an alpha auto 6, and then just keep pushing the momentum. So it could be sick. And of course, one thing we didn't mention, but we talked about before the stream, was the big mech and mega armor with mega knobs, or a war boss and mega armor with mega knobs, right? Either of those units as well, getting on one of these for a wall and then getting an auto advance 6 later in the game. Everybody else crashed in. People ignored the mega knobs during the wall because they're like, I don't want to have to kill something that has a feel no pain right now. You're like, nah, bro, they're just going to keep getting it. And if they have the 4-up invuln, they can stay and hide on the objective. They can regrow guys if guys chaff them up. So yeah, I obviously very cool in that as well. So these two strats put together of grab and bash and boarding rush on top of the actual objective detachment rule itself is how you can continue momentum in this detachment, which is what I kind of figured out. In the first 2 turns, it feels kind of flat. So in a weird way, you can think of it how Tau kind of base their games with their little turn 3, they get all their buffs. But instead, we get our wall, so we can still keep crumping on turn 2. And then we got crump and run. So when your opponent falls back, you can make a normal move up to 6 inches. Very circumstantial, very cool to get inside of transports for orcs. Anything you want to mention here?
It's really strong. Again, go back to the end game stage where like, oh my gosh, Gaz is on my doorstep. He got some of the guys left. There could be a transport close by. He could fall back into the transport, or they just get on the other side of the wall, right? And a lot of times that happens. Of like, I'm forced to fall back with this one unit because I have this big scary tank that needs to shoot your infantry unit, and the infantry unit is just going to fall back on the other side of the wall. I also think it's really strong for like falling back and either establish yourself more on the objective, or triggering it with the fall with a Overwatch. Certain orc shooting the bikes. This is good with the Gaz's unit when it has guns. I'm playing around with. I like guns at the moment because I like the Overwatch potentials, and I just value small arms greatly. This is really strong when you have like that 2 CP bank where like, oh my gosh, I fall away from Gaz's unit. I've set up everything to set up Gaz's unit, and all of a sudden Gaz moves another 6 inches. They can move forward, backwards, whatever. They can walk into rapid fire range and then fire Overwatch, right? Now, your opponent may be able to actually the interaction. They may be able to choose the timing for that. They may actually be able to choose the timing for that because it's their turn. I would have to read the exact wording, but it could also have been set up Overwatch in other places. So, like, the combination, like this strat's really underrated. It's not going to be used all the time, but when it does come up again into those in-game scenarios, reactive moves and in-game scenarios are hard to deal with, and they can be game breaking, right? Like everyone tried, who's all trying to chase down a Primaris Lieutenant turn 5, and this thing's the most aggravating thing you ever dealt with.
No, for sure. I think it's circumstantial, and but it does come up once in a while in games, and it is one of the less interesting things, and it's the almost like a only defensive mechanic, right? So, but nonetheless, I think we're really mostly here for grab and bash and boarding rush. Stacking that with the detachment rule and bash and grab, right? Those are the main things that really I focus my game plans on. And then the other ones of deck fraggers and crump and run are more circumstantial, opportunistic, you know? I'm not even really developing too many units that are trying to take advantage of this blast keyword. I think there are more options the more I play it, the more I want to. But with that being said, let's talk about, we'll start looking at Mark Perry's list and what he has to say about this. You know, getting our squig juices flowing. Because if you had to rate the detachment, what do you rate it, like 1 to 10? Just before we look at your list, before we talk about how it's similar to your Mordaka archetype, what do you give it a ranking, just for the chat to know?
For my personal opinions and what I developed with, not in general in the field, I'm giving it like a 9 for myself. Because like
your Mordaka list,
my Mordaka list would be like an 8 because this is just better. Like I'm using Mordaka for a few things. I'm using it for the assault for positioning, and I'm using the WAAAGH strat and the real wound strat. Right, those are really like the 2-hit. One strat I can't even use because I don't have walkers. All the ever shooting ones are kind of situational. Like I'll use them every once in a while, but mostly it's the sheer positional stuff that Mordaka gives you because Gaz is always in the wall. So like the army walks around with fleetfuls when as a horde, and this detachment does that cheaper, and all the rest of those units have more potential. Like you have auto 6 advance for boys, you got flipping auto 6 for everything. You have all the stuff. So like when building this one, I'm like, I know I'm just gonna take my Mordaka Horde version and just bring it over. But when I was already playing with some Mordaka builds where like everything is fast, it's decently pointed, it is tough for its points, and it's kind of overwhelming. And I really wanted, I played a couple games with it, with that theory, and I think there's a lot of legs to it. And I guess, you know, rating for that list, I don't know. It feels like tactical Daka and a little bit of War Horde had a baby together, and it looks funky.
It definitely does. And I do have a rating for it, and it went up higher than what I thought before. But, you know, what else has a high rating is today's sponsor, Lighter Creative. So Lighter Creative, if you ever need to set up the Warhammer 40K, it doesn't have to be such a hassle with Light Creative or Lighter Creative. I want to highlight the best battle mat I've ever used as grid measurements, presented lines that are for the official GW objective deployments and objective marker layouts, whether you're setting up for Crucible Battle or Search and Destroy. If you need to get the exact measurements, you have the 1-inch squares to help you maintain effortless coherency and combat range. Of course, knowing Gaz's 12-inch aura like we're talking about, less finicky measurements for anything within 4 inches would feel great. Setting up all your secondaries. I've been using it for months, and I highly recommend it to anybody that's intermediate or looking. So check them out in the description to help out the channel, and because I greatly do actually value it. Now I get to Mark Perry's actual list because I like it. To be honest, I did run a similar style to one of the lists you put forward because we've been talking and such. It was different enough, but I do think that you have true teeth in your archetype and that it's not so restricted that no one else can run it, right? That's one of the little myths sometimes that we hear is that, well, Mark Perry's Mark Perry. No one else can run those things or make them work. Well, maybe you won't win a GT with it, but you probably weren't winning anyways, right? I think we had like one GT winner last like 6 months before this last data slate. So, you know, don't look at yourself as you're not Mark Perry. It's, we can all run these kind of archetypes and have fun to your own extent, whether you're playing 500 points or greater. So there's just food for thought. And I think that this list has some good thought to it, and I think you can unpack it, and then we can go on what I liked, what I didn't like. Also, I didn't run this exact thing, guys, but similar enough that we can feedback on it. And of course, I'll get to the chats and super chats here in a second. But Mark Perry, go ahead.
Welcome to Gork Off My Objective 1.0. I do want to apologize to everyone in the Discord. I posted an orc list that was me working on the farm and doing chopping up the trees and pruning trees, where I made a really overcosted points for this because I just copy and paste and was doing quick math in my head. And whoops, my bad. Anyway, this is the real list and the real idea, and me making sure I'm proofing it. So we got Boss Snicker out because he's a default. Gaz, obviously. Zagrod, oh my goodness, shocking. We got the battle wagons, double Gretchen, the 20 commandos. I wanted Friday commandos here. The 6 mega knobs. I'm still taking the custom shooters at the moment because I really want to try them out. Free Squig Hog Boys. Kind of the new introduction point I guess you could say this list is kind of like taking advantage of all our good trash units because we have the free Storm Boys and the free War Bikes. The Squig Hog Boys in the Detachment, I don't like Squig Hog Boys naturally by their data sheet, and I don't like them in like a lot of our attachments because they just don't even want to have synergy, or second, they just don't help their weaknesses. Like War Horde doesn't do much, I think, to help out Squig Hog Boys' weaknesses where they sometimes just don't do anything. I think a lot of the detachment fixes that problems. The Auto 6 Advance for them is great. Putting them in the WAAAGH for a CP, because that unit's log, it's huge for just 4-man, because those big old biker bases. And so they get places, and they can touch a home objective and easily do that. And then it's also the stat checky element to them. So like the dynamic of the army is like you look at them, bike, storm boys, the battle wagon. This is like one and Zagrad's unit. This is like, and the commandos infiltrating, taking up no man's zone. This army is activates as like one big fast brick of like the army doesn't leave anyone behind. Maybe I can't remember the Stitch word now for it. Gahona or something like that. Means family. No one gets left behind. They're all very fast and on quick on there. The opening with this army is like I put 2 Storm Boys in the battle wagon to get them started up. There is some arguments like certain matchups where I just start Gaz off the battle wagon, but like I want that free extra inches of movement from the battle wagon. And battle wagon's like on the line and say, you got to deal with me. Like I'm going to set up probably in a spot where people could shoot it, but if they shoot it, they're at point blank range where the rest of the army is going to jump you. And orcs love to do that, right? If they go first and decide they're going to cap the battle wagon, I'm probably going to call the wall and I'm just running at them. If they don't do it, then the battle wagon, if I go first, the battle wagon just goes for it. We get the Storm Boys out. 2 of the Storm Boys units are just at minimum moving 16 inches with a 1 on the advance. And really just getting some more of those developments. And all these fast screen units make sure that the battle wagon's kind of protected because they can keep up with it and so forth. And then turn 2, typically call the wall, go in. But overwhelming because you have free bikes, free Squig Hog Boys, and the commandos just with the Auto 6 Advance. There's something to talk about with the commandos and their ability to protect bikes and Squig Hogs by positional.
Yep.
And when I say by positional, the Auto 6 Advance means that like this is the lines of a shoot down a lane down into the hogs and the bikes, and the tank's got to get right here. What happens if I just put 5 commandos there? Guaranteed, because they roll a 6 on the advance with the strat, right? Yep. I take up that space. All of a sudden, people cannot get in that lane to shoot those said units. Yeah. So that's kind of like positional protection and taking advantage of those style of units, just body blocking positions and lanes. And with the bikes and the hogs, like working together in that way, like it's really relevant because like they got all this random shooting. They help each other out. I don't know. I'm excited for it. And the same thing with the Storm Boys. Storm Boys are getting out and body blocking with the commandos. Like commandos, Storm Boys generally build the positions for your turn 2 for all your Hog Boys and bikes and Gaz and Zod to go in and just break the game. Definitely a hard-hitting fast list. And outside of the 2 regression and Gaza squad, nothing moves less than 10. Because I count the commandos being a little faster because they're in no man's zone. They're infiltrating. They're doing commando 6. Oh my goodness. And that's the idea. That's kind of like, like I said, this is 0.1 version of the list. Like this list will evolve. This theory will change as I get games with it, try it out, and maybe I'll get back to just running 60 boys. I probably will. In the meantime, I want to try this out a bunch. And it takes advantage of all the proactive abilities that this detachment gives you with really potent late game elements. So yeah.
Yeah, everything having good movement, like you said, is also what makes the auto advance 6 so appealing. Is there's multiple enemy assets the enemy has to account for. All of these things can possibly move 6 and become an issue, and that's what we mentioned about moving the Mandos into positions to kind of interfere with the enemy staging, positioning, what they want to do as well. Real quick, I want to go something to super chats because they're building up and some people mentioning some stuff. And there's a little bit of feedback from the chat on some things too, so I'm excited for that. So thanks guys for here. Whether you agree or disagree and want to get your teeth knocked out, feel free to get stuck in. We got Flynn. To me, it feels like when a game console releases junk accessories at the end of their product their production. No, I understand that. At first, I swear, when I first picked up the detachment and such, and I'm not saying this because I'm like a shill, because I don't get nothing for favoring a detachment that sucks when we have 10. But when I first looked at this detachment, I was like, that sucks. I don't even want to talk about it. But I gave myself some time to chew it over and to play it, and then I was like, all right, I'm getting it. So I think there's a little bit of ways this can be cleaned up, like if they change the battle round for the one detachment for the objective to clean it up. But I think there is more play in this based off the fact that you have options and you can play out the game longer than if you were to play something like Bully Boys, where it's like, all right, wah wah, and then that's it. I'm just gonna stand here with no options for the rest of the game. So as much as it seems like it's a little flat because it doesn't have a huge spike in any one department, it has a nice flow and continual momentum in the detachment that some of the other more niche ones don't, that are also hyper restrictive. Right after the hunt, after you call your wah and your glory hog or whatever you're doing, a lot of the time you're just relying on the advance and charge strat sometimes, or just your armies existing for the few people playing it. So at first glance, it does look like it would be number 9 or 10 out of 10 of the detachments, but it's really not. It really falls there somewhere in the middle for me. So as much we can all disagree to disagree, but trust me, I'm gonna keep playing it. Thank you, Flynn, for the love and support. Marper, anything you want to say about Flynn's comment?
No, I definitely get that. Definitely seeing, start of the battle round is complicated. It is hard to adjust to and figure out how you're going to maximize it because it feels like your opponent can map it out so much. If you could take your home objective, totally agree there. Like it was really lazy. Could it still be better? Yes. Do I think it will be easier? It would be easier? Yes. But I think the strats are really strong and I don't know if it's overlooked or not. I feel like they broke a bunch of rules that they said they weren't going to do again. And like, it looks really good. I could totally feel that on definitely the flash kit strat, because it's a flash kit pirate detachment and there's no buff for flash kits. What you expect from this?
I think
none of this. I expect
someone's has something to say about it too, about our comments about the flash kits and the blast. So I'm excited to argue with them. But the other thing I was going to say is for more DACA, right? As much as I want to like more DACA, because I think the strats are almost better because they're less circumstantial, which is what I always push about more DACA. The big point though is you're playing it for the WAAAGH strat, and you can't do it if it's always 2 CP. And then it's like, oh, then I really can't do any of my other strats. And then my detachment rule, it really is kind of bland and doesn't really help too many things. And my army rule, for example, right? Like sustain on the wall and then assault. It's like, you're not assaulting any other times. This one, the rules kind of last longer throughout the game, especially late game, in my opinion. So it really did find its way to be right there in mid tier for me. Shout out to Rick B for 5 WAAAGH Tactic memberships. Whoa! That means we're doing after action report about this detachment, because people have so many opinions about it. That's what we're doing. After action report. Freebooters Crew right now because of Rick B and all the other members. So thank you very much to Mini Crusaders 92. Whoa, let's go. I know you guys want to see this actually played. So thank you very much for the support and love. It means a lot and very generous of you guys. So make sure you put some gases in the chat for those members. And then we have Andrew Middlemas. for 10 CA, which is Canadian, maybe dollars. I'm not sure. And he has two things here. So he has a lot to say, Mark Perry, and I'll let you unpack it after. But he says, respectively disagree on the anti-4 plus vehicle and blast strat, as well as the bionic enhancement. The enhancement is 2/3 great and 1 is decent, while strats push Ludas and Shooter Boys and Big Mechs for a wall of bullets. So what do you think about and then he actually had one little other part, and you can think that. He says, for 5 more, thank you for that chat. Whoa. He said, forcing saves is, at least for me, is the emphasis a lot of these synergies. Allows for odd units, you wouldn't be doing shooting to do shooting. So one, I'll let you go on that, but I'll say this second comment you made, 100% agree on that. I think you understand the dynamic of what we're talking about for the output on how this works, and the volume of this detachment is, yes, picking units that are multi-versatile, like squigs that can throw spears and bikers that can shoot, and then they get charged in and they fight and they have multiple profiles. That's right. You're right. Throwing volume of dice at people from potential is exactly the way you want to play this. But as for this, what do you think about this, Mark Perry, for his his respectful disagreement?
It's not the fact that I don't think it's a bad strat. I my biggest thing with it is I just don't like flash kits too much, because I hate moving around them 40 mil bases and feel like I have to treat them like they're better than any other orc, because those 40 mils are aggravating the move with 5 of them for a 80 point unit. That's my biggest thing is with it, is like, it's the strat's not terribly trash. It is good against certain vehicles.
He likes the blast enhancement strat too, though.
Oh, I love the blast enhancement strat.
Yeah, we like it. We just think it's
like, that seems crazy.
Yeah, it's just hyper circumstantial, right? We're not saying it's bad. We're just saying it's circumstantial. You're not gonna use it every game necessarily. There's just gonna be those games where you're like, oh, I actually have a tool for this.
Yeah.
So I agree. Yeah. If I misspoke or I misheard me, but no, we think the blast one is cool, right? But it's more like number 4 stratagem, maybe out of the 6 for me. Maybe tied at number 3, right? It's probably auto advance 6, the war, my top 2, and then re-rolling wounds and the blast ones are the interesting ones to me, but I like re-roll wounds better. So I don't think it's bad. What happened, Barry? What's up, Mark?
Oh no, I was going to say it's just like very much similar for me. For me, it's the wall strat, auto 6 advance, then the blast, because like the blast is good into so many high skilled armies that are utilized, that use infantry, elves, soft T-free bodies. This thing obliterates them, and I love being able to obliterate those units for free for 1 CP, right? Like, you talk about the Shooter Boys, you're preaching to the choir, man. Like, Shooter Boys with this strat is actually like so cool.
It makes them actually shoot enough.
Yeah, because like, it's just without the assault. Yeah, I gotta position them a little bit more without having the assault for more DACA. But once they do start delivering at like that mid range and shooting random trash stuff and screens, I guess that's a lot of bullet for 1 CP.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely cool. I don't think I'm gonna run it it's gonna happen all the time, but I think it's cool for sure. And then the last one he was saying was the enhancement bionic. He thinks it's great. Again, like we said, for 15 points, it's all right. Luckily, it's not too expensive. Just not too many cases that I'm really building around adding it to my list. Right, I'm not really like, okay, I need a mech, I need a pain boy, I got to get this enhancement on the list. It's like, all right, if I have 20 boys, I guess, if I have some odd kind of combo units left, maybe a pain boy, maybe a big mech, like you said. So there are ways that I could consider it. It's just not necessarily ever leaning into it.
Right.
I guess is a better way to put it. Mark, you have anything to say?
I agree. Like, it's very much not leaning into it. Like, the buffs are good. It's just a matter of like finding a unit that I want to take that utilizes this enhancement. The problem is not the unit that could use this buff. It's buying not that Pain Boy is way overcosted. Paying for his sins in an earlier part of the edition where like the rest of the game has outpaced him.
For sure.
And I just wish we had a little bit more units that could take it, right? If a war boss could just have it, take it all the way.
For sure.
Big
almost be willing to pay another 5 points to take it on a war boss even, but I just would rather take it. It'd be way more interesting to throw this on something. like a breaker boy unit, but then I don't want to put those characters with the breaker boy unit, for example, that much. So yeah. But thanks for that, Andrew. It means a lot. Very generous, and thank you for joining. Whoa! So you can watch the after action report. Hopefully, I'll try to get that blast stratagem useful in one of my matchups. Then we have Rick B. The only question is, since you can make gas squad in the WAAAGH, is it maybe better to play knobs instead of boys for freebooters? That's a good question. I like that. So what do you think comparing boys, knobs, and then we'll throw mega knobs in there too? Because I too did not have 20 boys on my list, but I'm pretty sure most people online and they're talking about this list are talking about using it with 20 boys. So what did you can go first. What you think between as Rick B's super chat?
I think honestly, like I put mega knobs, boys, and then knobs. The reason why knobs are so low on the list is because for a 10-man squad of knobs is 210 points. 6 mega knobs is 190. And like 6 mega knobs are going to take so much more of a beating than 10 knobs will. They are free wounds, 2 up armor save, and that 5 up heal no pain. And that T6 actually matters a lot. Yeah, they have -1 to wound against higher strength and toughness, but against like random strength 3 stuff or strength 5 stuff, you're wounding on 5s, not 4s, unless against the strength 5 stuff. And that 2 up armor save is huge. And it's only 4 less models, but like again, the extra wounds, it's math out here 2 or no. It's 2 less wounds than the knobs for the mega knobs. Extra point of toughness, extra armor save, and a feel no pain. The feel no pain is the deal breaker to me. The boys are good. That's been proven by like all the War Horde being playing with them. But anyone that does play with that unit a lot knows that unit hits stuff and then it starts dying. Right, the boys do get focused out, and then all of a sudden, Gaz, Gaz is going to like have some vulnerable units hitting him, or like valuable like units then be able to focus him out because they can chew the 20 boys out. Also, hilariously, in the mirror match, no one wants to get shot with the blast with 20 boys. I'm waiting for that today to happen. Where like, Zoggod's unit rolls up and gets, oh my gosh, that's blast for 4 each Gretchen. So each Gretchen has 5 shots. So, that's 100 Gretchen shooting, I want to say, if not more.
It was silly. I forgot where I had something on there too when I was looking at that number, but it is obnoxious in the mirror if you could get those shots off. And that is something that's different about this is you do have some of that combined shooting aspect. When you push, your small assault guns actually go off and they feel good. When normally guns orc shooting can kind of suck, but in volume with sustain and shooting, it kind of finds its way, especially when you can follow up with a good charge, right?
Yep.
Another thing here is I was gonna say is for the boys, when I can auto advance 6 gas, but I don't have like the big mech to the combo of here we go with the follow me lads and the +2 advance. It's like, yeah, I can pay for the bio and then the auto 6 advance. But it's still hard to maneuver them safely around as much sometimes when you're trying to use the way this list is kind of set up with the banner, trying to set up an aura to pass the lethals out to everybody else. So that's also why I dropped the 20-man is it was harder to kind of stage up and position it with it safely when I'm still trying to stage up and position with everything else on the list. That was a factor. And 2 is I liked having 1 kill saw and 1 power claw. So Mark Perry can talk about how he likes the custom shooters on his mega knobs. I like it too, kind of, but I like going for 1 kill saw, 1 power claw. That way, if I got stuff that needs AP, I can choose that. That's something neither of the other units give as well. So to me, it was the boys were taking up too much real estate, and they weren't exactly as fast as they are in War Horde in the same way, unless I'm stacking all the buffs and I get the right biomancy. There's like a lot of stipulations, and in that case, I just went for more mega knobs so I can find more room to stage with and still be very durable and tough. People are kind of good at getting the initiative like glass cannons nowadays. So I don't want to also be scared of my boys getting tagged up on early. Is that fair enough, Mark Bear?
No, I think that's very fair. I think that's all very fair. I think boys are strong.
Very.
But after playing with both of them a lot, I found the games that I lost because of the boy squad, the Mega Knobs just sit there and say, yeah, you're not losing that, right? Emperor's Soldier, I think, is one. Emperor's Soldier is something that can hunt down that 10-man or that 20-man boy squad and kill it pretty quickly. I've been TIG for it, but they don't have a hard time chewing through 6 Mega Knobs. Blastmasters do not like the T6 with a 2-up armor save.
Yeah, for sure. So I as much as I love boys, I still love them in War Horde, I think. Still would run it there. But for this detachment and maybe more DACA, some of the weird ones, I'm leaning more back into Mega Knob, surprisingly enough. For that reason. So yeah, don't want the characters, want to pay for more stuff. It's already a very expensive combo, right? So that's just my thought. Then we have Andrew again. 20 shooter boys in a battle wagon for all the DACA. Whoa! They did end up taking off the firing exec 22 for the battle wagon, and now it's 11.
Big sad.
Dude. I'll never forget that battle wagon, man. I freaking love that. But hey, man, your shooter boys come out, they get blast. They would go crazy in the mirror matchup. Put 20 shooter boys with gas instead, or like 10 and 10. You know, if you're one of those guys, just hilarious to the people. But thank you for the 3-month member. I like that. Appreciate it. And Arcane, any love for the Mega Mech mans on the Wand Demand? I did mention that, Arcane, right? But yeah, I think I like it a lot. I like it a lot for a later game push. People sometimes will just be like, no, I got to ignore those Mega Knobs because I got a 4-pin vuln, 2-up, 5-up feel no pain, 5-up pin vuln. I don't want to go for them right now. So they'll ignore them on the wall and then kill them later. In this matchup, hey, I'll those touch a subjective. You ignored me. I'll auto advance 6 and I'll throw them in your face again. Oh, right. So I really do like that combo. It gets expensive when you're also paying for gas because then you got less stuff. And right now I'm paying for more stuff on the list. But I am open to reincorporating that unit on my list because I really, really like it. And it's probably the most fun way I've played that unit combo. I've wanted to like that unit combo for a long time. This is the most fun I've had with this unit combo. Make him go 6. Sure, they're still hitting on 4s, but if I'm lucky, I'm re-rolling wounds on my looted objective. Someone comes and gets me, then I re-roll wounds with my power clouds on the looted objectives that can kind of offset my shitty hitting on 4s. So I'm cool with it. I really do like that. You Mark Perry?
And I like it too. I also like the fact that that's a good unit to use the blast on because you have the custom shooters. That's a bunch of extra shots. But also the custom Mega Blast is something we haven't really talked about this in this video too much. But like custom Mega Blast is getting blast is like pretty crazy. Anytime you have a good custom Mega Blaster getting blast, I'm a happy boy. Like, so that Mega Big Mech gets a lot of value with those free shots at 9 to D6 with having sustained rerolls and possibly blast for 1 or 2.
Yeah, I like that. How about for people that are silly, crazy gets, and they want to put the devastating shooters on there, and then rapid fire re-rolling 1s blast on them?
Honestly, I did the math a little bit. I'm like, this is actually mathematically more impressive than I thought it was going to be, but I haven't revisited it much. I thought about it once.
I like it. So, sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry. What? Go ahead.
No, I just haven't got to actually roll it out a bunch and see how it actually feels after a bunch of rolling, right? Like 10 minutes of rolling it out. I don't know what that looks like yet.
So I did kind of like it. Too, also because it's a little less dice dealing with and giving them crappy saves. So I'm just maybe a little quicker on the clock. But I like that I can also chip down some tougher dudes in units randomly and be like, oh, okay, well, oops, I just took a couple wounds off you before I crash into you. So I'm in for it because then you got the dev weapons, you got the custom a Mega Blaster going into them, so you can chip it down and then do the D6 into them, so you can start killing elite type of weird stuff with it. So I'm cool with it. I like it.
Yeah,
very fun. And it looks like people still have a couple more super chats, and then we'll start closing out here for Mark Perry to make sure you not too long. If you had to play with this list with non-special characters, how would it change? So if you played no epics, so that's the thing is you're playing all epics, right?
Yep.
So I don't know how you play the list, but we think you could play the detachment without gas still.
Absolutely. If you didn't have any of the epic heroes in here, just to answer your question directly, I would be running war bosses with 10 boys. I see that unit's really valuable here, putting them in the wall, getting all those extra attacks, having multiples of them. Therefore, you can consistently like, oh my gosh, I killed this one. I have a second one. The auto 6 advance, like that unit can string out, hold your home, touch your home objective, and then auto 6 advance or loot the objective, put the unit in the wall, and just get a lot of value. And I would have a bunch of them in there. I would put some mega armor war bosses in there, maybe the big mech, or with like 2 mega bricks. Like I would just take advantage of really war bosses, right? Being great data sheets, because this is like good detachment for them, because they get auto 6 advantage just means that crazy, one basic war boss is just going in hard. That's kind of where I would go with it. Like I've stopped taking those characters because I found like the units just do what I need them to do. I don't need them. And I just take the special characters because they add a dynamic to the army that you can't get out of other units. Stick rot. Outside of I did do 2 RTTs this past weekend where I ran 2 shock jump dragsters. And I did win both of those RTTs with 2 shock jump dragsters. So I don't know if that's been done yet, but that was really cool. They're the only ones that can sit there and say you could swap out Snickrot for a shock jump, and it's very similar saying sitting on your backfield screening.
Mm-hmm. He was mostly like cult to speed, right? That's mostly where I ran him. But yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was running him in more DACA because I wanted more uppy downy mechanics to keep up that behind me lines engage every turn, but also using it as a big fat screen for boys and bikes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, you can swap that out. Gaz, I don't think you can't put a value on Gaz in the detachment because once he's in the wall for 5 turns, he's really hard to. He's not pointed out for that, but also like initially that unit was not designed with that in mind outside of Bully Boys. And then Zagrod is just like you can't duplicate him. I had one event where I did not take Zagrod, and my local crew grinds me about that game still to this day. And this was back in in the first 6 months of the edition where I lost in the finals against one of my teammates. And he's like, you would have beat me if you had Zagrod because I couldn't do anything if you just and I still from our mage players on our team tournament and my coach and our coach for the team. It was last week, and I got reminded by that. So I have a hard time never not taking him.
I know. All my local, same thing is anybody says, why would you not bring Zod? They just, if I even show them a list or show up, they're like, why would you not do that? I hate Zod so much, but you're giving me a handicap if you don't use him. Yep. So it's hard to replace Zod. It's true. If you had to do it, maybe a 10-man unit of Storm Boys or a biker in tandem could do something similar between just being able to reach out very quickly, touch you, not really kill you or hurt you the same. It's very hard to duplicate, but maybe 6 bikers and a trike would be the best in my opinion. Close maybe.
Yep. So, but it's a shadow of what that is too.
It's very. He's awesome, but it's a fun question. Fun question to ask. I like when people ask those kind of fun questions. So yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about the detachment or the list mark pair real quick? I mean, I know we're all in our first generation phases right now. I actually like it more than I did at first. I think it's really just that turn 2, you're living off the WAAAGH, and then turn 3, 4, you get to actually enjoy the detachment token a little bit more on the objectives and continue momentum. I just think us all finding the units we want to use is going to be a little bit more of the niche kind of fun thing to do.
Yeah. I think really with the detachment rules, it's going to be some workaround. I don't think it's as bad in execution because orcs are not a passive army. We are a proactive army. And a lot of times I'm going to be, where I'm going to be looting objectives, it's going to be boldly. I'm like, yeah, that's where my army is going. Right. Yeah. I'm going to go live on that. Yeah. You're not going to put any units on it if I don't get to say into you. That's fine. Cause I'm not going to put 5 or 6, 7, 8, 10 units on this objective if able. And then I'll get my army roll.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of that, I think. Man, dude, I'm excited. I'm excited to get some games in with this and just start crumping and looting people's bits.
Me too. I think people should also still just be excited to give it another try. So, end of the edition, you guys are all playing War Horde anyways. Why not just try something a little bit more combined arms aspect, get some weird walls going. I really do believe in smaller games. This could be fun too, personally. So if you're running all these kind of same archetype we were talking about with speed, and I'll have another video breaking down all the combos and units I favor the most and such like that too for more guys to talk about, because we haven't even really talked about walkers that much. Blood Moons, he says, if only Mans and Mega Mech had at least Scorch's back. Right, if they had Flamers still.
I miss it.
Man, if they in more Docker, they'd be more appealing, right?
Yeah, the assault, but like even without having assault, that thing's so good. I miss Scorchers and Mega Knob so much.
Yeah, that'd be so nice for overwatching these little units I want to run at you and stuff. All these random trash stuff that is like anti-infantry now. You're like, what the heck? Why are you a T4, T3 4-up armor save running at me with a anti-infantry weapon? I hate you. All right, cool. Well, with that being said, I think we got everything wrapped up with the super chats. Went a little longer than we expected, but I am excited nonetheless to still play this out a little bit. I think I'm going to get some more games in, throw it at an RTT, see what I do. If I get my teeth knocked out, oh well, it's the end of the edition. Let's have fun, lads, and get stuck in. Mark Perry, anything else you want to say? Full screen to you.
Remember, be cutting but brutal. And he can drop the next line.
And with that being said, there's only one thing to keep in mind is don't cross our wall, because we'll knock your teeth out. Also, you can still use blast weapons on anything. It doesn't have to have a random number of shots. People were saying that. All right. That's not true. All right. All right. So don't overthink it. Don't overthink the blast. Enjoy. Have fun. Let's get stuck in, lads. Whoa!